Do you think that these hot women that you want to pick up do this to themselves?
Yeah.
That's right. You better believe they do. Every human does this. Because we as humans have not really evolved yet into really the kind of learners we could be. We're conditioned to learn through pain and punishment. We're conditioned to learn through pain and punishment, unfortunately. And it's really self-punishment. Self-punishment is really, it's a manipulation. You're trying, first of all, you're trying to learn, but you think if you just punish yourself strong enough, the universe will have mercy on you and give you a break. It doesn't work that way. Actually, the universe goes, oh, he likes to punish himself. Let's give him some real reasons. That's the secret. Yeah, comment?
I find that all my emotions have the same blob effect. Is that normal, or should...
So first of all, put it up to your mouth because I can't hear you.
I find that all my emotions have the same shape.
I'm willing to bet
Are they all
that
the same, or
I'm willing to bet that that's not really the case. That if you really get very highly conscious of it, that's not what really is going on. And even if it is what's really going on, within that content, within that same contour, there are different elements that are arising and diminishing. And if you learn to pay attention, you would be able to find out which are diminishing and which are increasing, which are vanishing and which are appearing and arising.
How do I do that?
Well, I'll show you.
Okay.
You may not need to. You may not need to. Yes, go ahead. Oh, the mic. But are you beginning to see, am I sketching out the structure and process of how people keep themselves trapped? So you see it really clearly now. Now, before I explained it to you, did you even know how it worked? Or did you see it with this degree of clarity? Okay, I'm trying to tell you there's lots of stuff like this going on that you're not yet consciously aware of. And my job is to bring it to your conscious awareness and show you how to use it. How you doing, buddy? Good. Have a seat. Does that make sense? So pick that one.
Yeah. I found the better one.
Okay, you got it? Now again, turn off the imagery or ignore the imagery, ignore the dialogue, and just get into the raw feeling, and I'll hold the mic. He's cool, he's my guest. Get the raw feeling. You got it? Yeah. Okay, so pay attention. Where it's the first place on the inside that you feel the flow of feeling. Okay? Right there. And then what does it do? Where does it go?
It kind of circles around and goes like
circles around.
that.
Okay, I want you to pour all your attention into it without any need or desire to change it, with total acceptance. Relax around it, relax your body around it, and pour all your awareness into it. And really, really become aware of it. You get it? And every 5 seconds, label changing or the same.
Changing.
So the step here is to get a really good conscious awareness of it, of the actual feeling flow.
Changing. Changing.
Now, until you get really consciously aware and detangle it for the other elements, you probably weren't aware that it actually changes, were you? You probably experienced this one stuck, big, blobbish thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's only when you experience it as something that's stuck and sticky, you can't utilize it. You can't do anything with it. But now as you experience it's changing, it becomes something you're going to be able to use. It's not comfortable, is it?
No.
I can see from your face it's not comfortable. That's okay. Here's what I want you to do. Now that you've had the experience of energy, here's what I want you to do. I want you to imagine that, close your eyes. I want you to imagine it's now flowing out of your body. Turn it into a color. I don't care what color you turn it into. Let it turn into a color. Imagine it's flowing out of your body, all right? And you're going to put it through your symbol for transmuting. Whatever your symbol is for transmuting, imagine now that it's flowing through that symbol for transmutation. You understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
As it flows through that symbol for transmutation, it begins to become purified and filtered and cleaned. And to yourself, I want you to say something like, I now offer up this energy to be transmuted, transformed. I'll give you the languaging, guys. Just watch. Purified, refined. Imagine it's being cleaned up. Maybe the color is changing as it continues to run through your symbol for transmuting. And the symbol for transmuting can change. It can become like a set of filters. Can become some giant machinery that breaks it down into its component parts, changes its elemental structure. You can actually see, if you want to, it may help to actually see millions of copies of your symbol for transmuting going to work on it, like little microphages. You got it? Imagine that energy now is progressively getting cleaned and cleaned and purified and purified. Imagine now you're offering it up to your own higher consciousness, that you're offering it up to be purified, transmuted, transformed, and returned to you. Imagine it's now returning to you completely cleaned, returning to you as pure energy for your peace of mind, your learning, your belief in yourself, your ability, your groundedness, your persistence, your patience, your informed enthusiasm. Take a deep breath and breathe into that purified energy that's now returned to your body as pure energy, completely cleaned up. And it's becoming more and more available for your learning, your clarity, your peace of mind, your informed enthusiasm. That's right. Now watch this. I want you to imagine that symbol, that new energy, the energy of clarity, the energy of peace of mind, is surrounding you like a bubble. And if you want, you can even imagine that your symbol for transmuting is included in that bubble. You got that? You don't have to do this vividly. You can do it, just get a rough idea it's happening, or if you're a good visualizer, that's okay too. Now, from this place of being filled with this new energy and surrounded by a bubble of it and your symbol for transmutation, now I want you to look at that experience that was upsetting you, but look at it through this. And first and foremost, I want you to imagine that anything you did right, anything that worked at all, even the smallest or the largest piece, gets extracted out, like a piece of toast pops out of the toaster. So the piece that actually did work, the one or two things you did correctly, separates itself out and comes right into your awareness. So you could actually see even the smallest thing you did right. Anything. The smallest right response, the smallest right attitude, the smallest right move, even the smallest thing. You got it?
Yeah.
Can you see, what was it that you actually did right?
I approached a lot of girls.
Well, yeah, that's right. You did something correct, didn't you? That's right. So first and foremost, see that. Very good. So now we're adding in a piece I call the extractor. And with the extractor, you can actually see what you did correctly, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. And now what I want you to do, continue to look through this beautiful bubble of this purified energy. This energy for your peace of mind, your learning, your ability, your informed enthusiasm. I want you to look and see what else you did right, even the smallest thing, anything, on any level. You don't have to tell me. You got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find some more things, can't you?
Yeah.
And actually, if you were to take another breath and ask yourself, you know what? What other times and where else and when did I do this right? You may become aware that there were other times you actually did it right. This is not the first time. True?
Yeah. True.
Yes, true. In fact, if you look at those situations through this filter, you may actually see that some of it turned out better than you had remembered.
Yeah.
That's right? You got that?
Yeah.
That's right. Now, as you're looking at the situation, ask yourself this question. Okay, what could I have added in that would have helped it work even better? So just ask yourself that question. What could I have added in? And remember, you could add things on a lot of levels. You could add in different energy. You could add in different understandings. You could add in different behaviors. You could add in different responses. You could add in selecting better in different subjects. There's all sorts of levels upon which you can add things in. You could add things in on a very small level, like a tonality. Add things in on a larger level, your overall vibe. So I want you to allow your unconscious to run through it and begin to notice, hey, what else could I have added in? And when you look for those answers, one of the things you could look towards is models. You could ask, what would Vince have done or Ross have done? Or, what if I just changed my vibe? What if I just added in a different energy? What if I added in a step? What is the next step I could add in or would have added in or will add in the next time? You got that? What would you have added in on any, there are a lot of levels you can add things in. So you can add in on a different vibe, you can add in a different understanding, you could add in a different move, you could add in a different piece of something. What would you have added in?
Persistence and playfulness.
That's right. So he's adding in qualities. Really good. I like that. So there are different levels, and we'll go through the levels in a minute of what you could add. Now, ask yourself this question. Hey, wait a minute. What could I have left out? What's something I could have subtracted out? Because when you look to improve, it's not just what you add, but what could you subtract? What could you have left out on all those different levels?
Expectation, attachment.
That's right. You could have left that out. Really good. Now, what could you have diminished? In other words, it's okay that it's there, but you just would want maybe you'd done less of it, less intense or less frequently. What could you have diminished?
I guess expectation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what could you have increased? So it was good that you did it, but you could either have done more of it or done it with more intensity.
Openness, fun, playfulness.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And now, very good. I really like it. So now, as you look at the experience from this, it's changed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, I want you to imagine that you're actually going into your future, carrying all these different learnings with you. In fact, before you do that, I want you to imagine that you go back to the situation and imagine adding in what you would have added in, subtracting what you would have subtracted, diminishing what you would have diminished, increasing what you would have increased, and see how it would have turned out differently. And you don't have to see it all consciously. You can just get some unconscious awareness that that's what's taking place. And as that's happening, your sense of time can shift and change. You can go into the future and carry these lessons with you. So in the future, you can feel enthusiastic about diminishing what needs to be diminished, adding what needs to be added, repeating what needs to be repeated, subtracting what needs to be subtracted, adding what needs to be added, diminishing what needs to be diminished, increasing what needs to be increased. Imagine a future continually getting better and better at doing this. All right, now open your eyes. Okay, now think about that fucked up, that situation where you had fucked it up.
It's not so bad.
Okay, and now watch this. Think about your need to dwell on it. What happens when you think about your need to dwell on it?
I think about the future.
Right.
I think about the future. Instead.
That's right. Now, here's the cool thing. We did certain things with this. We skipped ahead a few steps. And I'm going to review all the steps you can do that. But you notice, here are the elements of what we did. First and foremost, we gave him away a little bit of meditation practice so he could clear his mind. Then I taught him how to go into the experience and to detangle it. So let's write these steps out. You can return to your seat. Let's write down the basic steps, and then we'll go into it. Do you see the usefulness of this? Now, this is not going to, look up here, this is not going to stop his ruminating right away, but after a couple of weeks and months of practicing this, he'll no longer need to ruminate. The rumination will drop away because the purpose, the intent of the rumination is now being taken over by something that's much more useful. Do you understand? So everything will begin to exponentially get easier because the rumination practice will no longer be there. So he'll no longer be reinforcing the old self-image. That will no longer be in his way. That'll drop. Yes? It won't be there. That means his learning increases, his self-image gets better, the positive programming becomes much more efficient, his vibe changes because he's no longer running this shit and putting out that vibe, so women will be more attracted to him before he opens his mouth. He'll go up the learning curve exponentially faster and get the real-world skills as well. So success builds on success, and it's energetically far more efficient. Now, is that not bad for a fucking start? Huh? This is the missing piece in the seduction community that no one even knows about that I'm putting into your hands. All right? So the steps are, first and foremost, here are the basic skills steps. Is that little meditation practice. Because without a quiet, calm mind, it becomes more difficult to do it. All right? You got that? Second thing is you're going to consciously pick a place to ruminate. You're going to choose to ruminate. You know what I mean by ruminate? Running things in your head over and over. So rather than let it going on all day, you're going to go, I'm only going to do it 20 minutes a day in this place. You're going to prescribe the symptom. Then what you're going to do is pick one of the things you ruminate on. You understand? One of the scenarios you constantly run in your head. Yes? Pick one. And you're going to go through it, but you're going to detangle it. Now, by detangling, I mean you separate out the auditory and the visual elements, you ignore them, and just tune into the raw feeling in your body. So you're going to detangle, and then you're going to tune in. So detangle and then tune in. When you tune in, you're going to actually pour all of your awareness into the actual energetic, emotional, physical sensation of that experience in your body. Do you understand what I mean by that? Well, detangling is simply a matter of ignoring the visualizing and ignoring the dialogue. Just push them aside, ignore them. If you go back to them, gently bring your focus back to the actual physical sensation. One of the reasons why I teach you that little meditation practice is when you have a calmer mind, it's easier to detangle. And it develops some focus. Do you understand? You got me so far? We're going to run through all the elements of these steps, but I want you to get the big pieces. You get me? So you're going to detangle, then you're going to tune in. And what you're going to do is you're going to pour all of your awareness into that raw, physical, energetic, emotional sensation, and without any desire to change it. You're not going to try to change it. You're going to relax around it. So relax everything around it and just pour all your attention into it. Do you understand? And what you're going to do is for about 2 or 3 minutes, every 5 seconds, you're going to label out loud, changing or same. You understand? Tune in, notice and label. What's the purpose of getting you to notice and label? The purpose of getting you to notice and label, look up here, is to give you the experience of what's going on so it's no longer outside your conscious awareness. When it's outside your conscious awareness, when it's unconscious, it becomes suffering. That which is entangled and unconscious and grasped, and that which is entangled, unconscious, and tightened around transforms into suffering that blocks you and reinforces your limits and barriers. But that which is detangled, relaxed around, and consciously experienced becomes raw energy that can be cleaned up, transmuted, and redirected into the very processes that will serve you on so many different levels. Do you understand? Yes. It's like irrigation. You want to take this muddy, filthy, dirty sewage water, you want to channel it, put it through the sewage treatment, and then put it back as pure water to drink and bathe in and irrigate the fields or whatever. You get it? These are different metaphors: circuitry, irrigation, etc. By the way, those are not bad things to have in your unconscious mind now. Get that? Notice and label it. Once you've done that for like 2 to 3 minutes, you want to begin the transmutation process. Transmute. To transmute, here's what you do. Here are the steps, the sub-steps for transmuting. Step A, turn feeling to color. Turn feeling to color. Turn the feeling to a color that gives you a little bit more conscious control over it. Turn the feeling to a color. Imagine it leaving body. Imagine leaving body. Imagine it leaving body. Imagine it leaving body. And run it through your symbol for transmuting. Run through symbol for transmuting. Now let me make a note here. Run it through your symbol for transmuting. Look here, look here, look here. Sometimes it's useful to actually take that little symbol for transmuting and turn it into a construct. Like I actually see gears grinding things. Sometimes I see a factory where things go through different stages of chemical refinement. It doesn't matter. But just run it through. You know one of the things that works for me? I have a little gargoyle, a little wooden gargoyle. I call it my shit eater. It's called the gobbler. I actually call it the gobbler. That's his name. And he takes all this dark energy and he gobbles it, and then he shits it out as pure golden color. That's me. So you'll find as you do this, different things will come into your mind that help you do it. But run it through that. And as you run it through it, what you want to imagine is that the energy is being transmuted, refined, purified. And what I do is I imagine, here's what I imagine. This works for me. You can try it. It may not work as well for you. It may work better. I imagine if I'm sitting here, right? I imagine when I'm running it through the filter, running it through the transmuter, that it then is offered up to my higher consciousness or my purified, whatever you want to call it. And then I imagine it coming back as pure. It's colorless. It comes back to me. And it comes back to me for my peace of mind, my clarity, my learning, my informed enthusiasm, my persistence, all the qualities that you want to build in for your learning. So let me back up because I went a little fast. I understand. So we're going to run it through your symbol for transmuting. And as you run it through your symbol for transmuting, you're going to actually see it begin to change. So if it comes out brown and gooky, you'll see it'll change color. It may become clear. And as it's happening, I say something like this. Words to this effect. Look up here. I say, I now offer this energy up to be purified, refined, transmuted, transformed into pure energy for my peace of mind, my clarity, my persistence, my grounding, my enthusiasm, my happiness independent of conditions. I add in things like that. And what I visualize is when it goes up there, it returns to me. I visualize it returning to me into my body. Okay? Do you get those steps? Yep. I'm going to take you all through it as a group. I'm going to drill you as a group. Now, I had him do that, and once I had him there, he was in such a good state, I added the next step, which is what I call the extractor. But I'm going to run you through this first, and then we'll do the extractor. The purpose of the extractor is now that you've got all this energy available for learning, let's do the learning. Do you understand? But I'm going to take you, what I want you to do is take a 10-minute break, and I'll take you through, it's noon. We're going to take a 10-minute break. I'll run you through this as a group, the transmuter, and then after lunch, I'll show you how to use it for the extractor. But when I do, I'm going to show you some really cool things about learning models. Because part of getting good at this, once you're in that place of pure learning and you've got all that energy refined, you want to be able to know what different levels to make the distinctions. Remember I said to him he could look at what needs to be added, what could have been subtracted, remember? What could have been increased, what could have been what? Decreased or diminished. And there are different levels at which that can take place. So we're going to take a 10-minute break. I'm going to run you through this as a group. I'm going to have my friend Grant, a.k.a. Adam, come up and speak for a bit. Then after lunch, I'm going to show you how to actually do the extractor, okay? Are you finding this useful? Yes. It's pretty fucking cool. This is my Area 51 Kelly Johnson skunk work stuff that no one even knows about. Have you heard anyone else in the community talk about this? Not even close. This is where I'm at least 20 years ahead. They'll get around to copying this in about 2015. By then I will have moved on, or passed on. Take a 10-minute break. When you come back, we're going to have Grant, Adam come up and talk. You ready to do like half an hour? Good. How you doing, buddy? 2027. Take 10 minutes. Want this videotaped, or do you want it off tape, or, huh? Annie, do me a favor, put in a separate videotape for him. We're going to give this to him. We're not going to. All right, we had some questions about this transmuter process. So instead of asking me outside the room, ask them now so people can get the benefit of the answer. So who's got the microphone? And who had a question about this process? Someone did. Of course, they're outside the room, so they can't get the benefit of my knowledge. Okay. No questions about this? Good, then we're moving on. You lost your chance to ask that question to the person who was not in the room. All right. Now, you had a question. Okay, right over here.
So you're going through the steps, and then I think didn't you stop? You didn't go all the way through it. Didn't you stop at like I now offer up this energy for
So
my?
what I'm doing is I'm saying now that you've put it through your transmuter, I say I'm offering up this energy to be transmuted, purified, refined, and returned to me for my peace of mind, my clarity, my informed enthusiasm, my ability to learn anything, my wisdom. You understand?
Yeah.
Remember what we talked about. You're taking all the noise out of the circuits, you're cleaning the noise up and putting it back in as pure energy to activate the circuitry you need to do your learning. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Yes?
But isn't like one or two more steps after that?
There's more stuff. I'm going to get there. Be patient.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that's what you wanted to question.
And then you see it returning to you. I visualize it returning to me.
Yeah.
We'll get to the other step. The step I took was it you who was up
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
You went really far, so I took you through the extractor, which is coming up. I haven't gotten to the extractor yet.
Okay.
The
Cool.
transmuter, this is what I call the transmuter. The transmuter needs to be there to enable the extractor.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
We understand the purpose of this exercise. Now, you will do this, so if you're the kind of person, and that's all of us, who ruminates on stuff and inadvertently reattaches it to yourself, prescribe the symptom. You're going to pick 15 to 20 minutes a day when you go through this. Pick a spot, and you're going to do it, but you're going to do it my way. Does that make sense? You felt a real difference from that, did you not? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't hear you. Where's the mic?
Yeah, I definitely didn't. I could imagine like a white bubble around me for. I still kind of can now, actually. If I think about it, it comes back.
Think about what this does. Because when you dwell on mistakes with strong emotion, you're inadvertently rehearsing them to do it again. So this is taking that process that was continually recreating the prison and stopping it. If all you did was that, it would be a huge improvement. Then it's taking all the energy that was there in that process, hijacking it and transmuting it and putting it towards your learning and your growing. It's also, come on in and have a seat. I know that man. Ladies and gentlemen, the man known as Style, Neil Strauss. So you see the purpose of it? You see what it's doing?
Yeah, it was
And
awesome.
the final thing, now that you're no longer striking your body with all those negative thoughts and all that rumination, that ugly vibe is no longer going out. And it also means because that noise is not there when you're communicating with other people, look at it this way. We're subtracting the noise intrapersonally. We're subtracting the noise going on inwardly, but we're also subtracting the interpersonal noise so that your communication isn't having to push through pain. It's not having to push through fear or regret. It's going through a clean channel. And equally, all the nonverbal stuff, all the vibrational stuff that she's sending out doesn't have to push through anything going to you. Your stuff is clean, so you can pick up a lot more information. This is how I do what I do, how I can look into Neil's friend, you saw what happened, right? With the ethnic background?
Yeah.
Right?
You guessed it right out.
I didn't guess it. I saw it printed out. I did. I really did. I saw it. I'm able to see things that other people can't see because I've cleaned up those filters and there's no noise or very little noise. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's what I want to do. Before I take, are there any more questions about this bit? Yes. Yeah, over here. You didn't come up here and give me a hug, so I'm mad at you. Well, only if you do it like you mean it, because you do.
Well, when I was going through the exercises as you were demonstrating them, I couldn't help but notice that there's a difference between the energy that I feel in the moment when something's happening. You know, when I go up to talk to somebody and I get, what are you doing? The energy that I feel in the moment when it's actually happening versus when I try to recall it.
That's going to
It's much.
be a difference. It's not going to be quite as vivid, but you don't need to make it that vivid to make it work.
Okay.
I understand the difference, but here's the thing. If you do this in your quiet, meditative place, and you train your mind, I didn't say you could stop. You continue. Because you want to, don't you? Take a deep breath. Close your eyes and show yourself just how quickly you can find that place again. That's right. Take a deep breath. And it doesn't matter whether you wrap yourself around the strength of my body or the strength of my voice or both or either, but take another deep breath. That's right. And it doesn't matter whether you focus in on where you feel that energy flowing first, or whether you should take another deep, deep breath. Focus in on where you feel it flowing next, or whether as you take a deep, deep breath, and you focus in on where you feel it flowing that feels absolutely the best. But as you find your opening in a very special way for all of that, take another deep breath. And remember how I told you can go back and forth between the experience of the wonderful feelings and your desire for more. Your desire for more, that's right, and your experience of the wonderful feelings. And I'm not sure how clearly you can realize it each and every time you return to this special place when I say this word, permission. Each and every time you return to this place, you can feel it better than the last time, can't you? Take a deep breath. And take these feelings with you all the way back to your seat, and you should feel proud of all this. You can give yourself a hand for these wonderful feelings. Give yourself a hand for helping yourself with these wonderful feelings. This new direction that you're moving inside, bigger than you thought, but better than you realized. Now, take a deep breath. That's right. Okay. All the way back to your seat now. That's a good girl. So anyway, here's my point. You're not going to experience it as vividly as you would in the situation, but by training yourself outside of the situation, when you do get into the situation, it'll become much easier to do. Do you understand? Does that make sense? Yep. All right. One more, and then I want to move on with this because it's really important. One more, only if you have it. If you don't, that's cool. You got to check out this jewelry, dude. I found the coolest jewelry. This girl who's here doing a story on this, she's coming back to the room. She makes penis bone necklaces. She'll be back in. Actual real animal penis bones. Talk about like, yeah, I know. Okay? So, the second little piece of this I'm going to teach you is how to learn from all of this. Now, remember I had him up here and I had him begin to look at it through different filters and to ask what he could have added, what he could have subtracted, what he could have diminished, what he could have increased. Remember I said that? When you go, this is a really good diagnostic tool. When you're looking to improve in this, there are different levels and there are different time codes. So look up here just for a minute. I want to introduce to you the notion of elements of time when you're looking to improve your skill. Look up here, don't take notes. We'll go through it word for word, but first I want you to get the concept. If you want to get good at anything, whether it's sarging or selling or playing the piano, I don't care. There's what you do before you start the activity, the preparation. Miriam, go over there and say hello to Neil and show him your jewelry. All right, there's what you do before you actually do the activity, your preparation phase. So when you're looking at what you could have done different, what you could have increased, what you could have decreased, what you could have added, what you could have subtracted, you can look to see what you could have done in the preparation phase. Was there something you could have added, subtracted, diminished, increased in your preparation phase before you even went out sarging? Are you following that? Yeah. Do we get that? Yes or yes? Yes. I need verbal feedback. Yes or yes? Yes. Now, the next thing is it could be something that you should be doing all the time throughout the procedure. There are certain things that you ought to be doing all the time when you're sarging. What are some of the things that throughout the entire sarge you should be doing? Somebody name it. Calibrating, that's right. Observing, what else? Having fun, I would like to do that throughout the sarge. What else? Keeping control of your state. Give this man a condom. I used to use Pop-Tarts, but now he gets condoms. Do we have a condom? I have one, but it's sized to fit me. Condoms on the table? Here you go. Oh. That's an art, condom talk. Okay, so there's certain things in any skill set, listen, that you ought to be doing all the time. In sarging, that would be calibrating, controlling your state, maintaining rapport, right? Staying aware, staying focused externally so you can see what's going on. Those are some of the things you ought to be doing at all times. Does that make sense? Yes. So when you do this thing where you're reviewing, you can look to different phases, right? Maybe it's something you could have done differently before it even started. Maybe it's one of the elements that is something you should be doing all the time. They're the things you do sequentially. By sequentially, I mean you only do them once at a certain point. You don't repeat them, and you only do them at a certain point. Does that make sense? If you're doing a language pattern progression, if you're doing the blowjob pattern, and then you do the discovery channel pattern, you're doing it in a certain sequence. You're not going to do it all the time, and you're not going to repeat it. You're doing it in a certain sequence. So it may be that something in the skill set that needs to be done sequentially, that's what you need to tweak. Does that make sense? Yes. This is a really good diagnostic tool to see where, and by the way, it could be more than one of these categories. It could be all of the categories where you can improve. Does this make sense? For some, now within that, for some of you, let's say for some of you, your challenge, your stuck point is in the sequence. It's something that happens sequentially. Does that make sense? Within that, there are certain subcategories. It could be a large level something. It could be your attitude or energy. It could be a specific piece of behavior. Do you understand what I'm saying? So within it, there's subcategories, and I'll get to those. Now, here's the tricky one. Here's the one that everybody misses. I can guarantee you, nobody is aware of this. Everybody misses it. And in your own learning curve, it's the number one thing you're most likely to miss. And that is the things that you do periodically and or recursively. By recursively, I mean, look here. You don't just do it once, but you don't do it all the time either. You periodically return to it at different phases of the SARJ. Does that make sense, what I'm talking about? You're not sure what I mean. Recursion means that I'm not going to do it all the time, and I'm not only going to do it once, but periodically I will return to it. When I was playing with the lovely Taylor yesterday, what's something that I did periodically that I kept returning to? Ratification. I would say, are you enjoying this? Right? And I would say on a scale of, and then I would say, do you want more? Correct? I didn't do it all the time, and I didn't do it only in a certain point. I kept returning to it. Does that make sense? Guys, I need verbal feedback. Yes or no? I've earned your verbal feedback after working hard for 3 fucking days, so give it to me. Yes? Yes. So what are some other things that we would return to periodically? Fractionation, exactly. We're going to be fractionating on and off throughout the entire process. Anchors. I'm going to be using her anchors. I'll be using her trance words periodically. I'll be feeding them back to her, correct? Yes. Yes. Brother Snowball. Get the microphone to Brother Snowball.
Russ, would you mind kind of going over the how to actually identify the trance words? Because that part I didn't.
Not now, but I will. I
Okay,
will. Remind
cool.
me, all right? Do we understand this? This is the one that people don't think about. This thing, periodically, or you can call it recursion. Recursion means you cycle through it again and you keep going back to it. That is the one that remains hidden from most people and from most coaches. They don't even get that that's the big part of the skill set. And here's why. For example, let's say you're talking to a woman, you ask a seduction question, and she gives you the answer. Guys with very low level of skill will use her answer once and then throw it away. They view it as something that should be done sequentially. A smart guy will go, wait a minute. That's something to use sequentially, but here's something I can use periodically and recursively. And knowing that distinction between what you use just once at a certain point and what you keep returning to is the difference between a good guy and a fucking fantastic guy. It's the difference between a crappy guy and a good guy at this skill set. Yes, get the microphone to this guy.
So that's what you would use her trance words periodically.
Yes.
Okay.
Going back to her trance words, firing off anchors. Well, her trance words are anchors. You
Yeah,
understand? Fractionating. Fractionating is something I'm going to do periodically. Not quite continuously, but almost so. Does this make sense? This is when you're doing a diagnostic on yourself, I encourage you to look at this. What is it? The 2 big stuck points are this. Usually it's what you should be doing all the time, and it's what you return to periodically, where guys are really missing the pieces. Now, one of the great things I noticed about Neil early on, is that he naturally was good at this bit. what you do afterwards. He had a naturally good strategy for reviewing what he did when he was all done with it, extracting what worked and looking at what could be done better without any ego attached to it. That's how come he moved up the learning curve where someone equally bright would just stay stuck. You understand? And as an NLPer, my job is to look at who's doing something well and go, okay, that's not a mystery. There's a structure to it. What's the structure to it? Does that make sense? Now, where a lot of you guys were fucking up is the before stuff. What were you doing before? You were rehearsing your limitations, reinforcing your bad emotional states by all this noise you were running in your head. Why was the noise running on your head? Because you were attempting to serve a useful purpose, which is learn from the mistake. Does that make sense? Yes. You see how it ties together? So when you go through this bit that I'm going to show you, you want to sort through these various categories and go, okay, is it something before, something all the time, something sequentially, something periodically, something at the end, something after? Does this make sense? Yes. And being able to sort through these and know where the most leverage is, because you can always improve in all of these. But for every one of you, there's a combination of these that's the key that will open up everything. Are you understanding this, Taylor? Of course you are, because you can open your mind. And you understand, learning is not just about memorizing, is it? Learning is about the ability to open your mind completely. To me, now, sitting here, thinking about it, I can realize that when I allow your learnings to run through your mind, it's really a powerful thing, isn't it? Wouldn't you agree? Okay. So this is a sort category. Okay. Here are other sort categories according to the levels that it works. It could be that there's room for improvement in your vibe, your beliefs, your energy, your awareness, your cognition, your intent. These are what I call the larger levels of improvement. Your vibe, your belief, your energy, your awareness, your cognitions, your intent. Listen to me, what you train yourself to pay attention to and what you train yourself to selectively ignore. Because at different points in the SARJ, there are things you just have to ignore. If you're in front of a shit-hot babe, you have to ignore her look. You have to turn down or ignore your natural male response. Turn your attention outward and notice other things. So it's as much what you learn to pay attention to and what you learn to ignore as what you say or the actual moves you make. What you learn to pay attention to, what you learn to ignore, what you consider to be important and unimportant, your beliefs about how things work, they dictate and shape the lower levels, the behaviors and the actual responses and actions and words. Does that make sense? Yes. Or you could look and go, you know what? I've got all this down, but for whatever reason, I need to improve some of the behavior or the responses. So she says, I have a boyfriend, and you're stuck. Even though you've got the beliefs down, you just don't have some good responses rehearsed. Do you understand? So you do the dumb guy thing. You either argue or you give up. Bad. Hold on. If you argue, then you're just pushing her deeper into her decision. If you give up, then you've surrendered to her autopilot response. You've let her autopilot lead the interaction in a way that probably isn't good for you or her. Remember my belief? I seldom take a woman's first response as written in stone. It's usually only a reflection of what she's thinking, feeling, or believing in that moment, and it's almost always subject to change. That's right. What are some of the other beliefs that make this work? How about this? Anything she offers me is just information that I can use. Say it again. Anything she offers me is just information I can use. Anything she offers me is just energy to be redirected. She can do whatever she wants. I control where my... That's right. This is all about being non-reactive. It makes sense, doesn't it? Without those cognitions, without those beliefs to direct your awareness and your state, you're flapping around. You're just imitating a behavior without the foundation of the behavior. But it could be that you got this down, and for whatever reason, the actual behavior or responses need to be changed or tweaked. Does that make sense? Yes. And then it could be the behavior needs to be changed on a large chunk level or a small chunk level. A large chunk level would be, Let me put it a different way. It needs to be changed either analogically or digitally. Let me draw the distinction. Analog is anything that varies on a range. For example, these lights, can you dim some of these lights? Some of these lights are analog, meaning you don't have to turn them all the way off or all the way on. You can dim them, or you can make them brighter. Analog is anything that varies on a range. Digital, it's on and off. Digital are the words. You either say the words or you don't. Analog would be the speed at which you speak. It would be your volume. It would be the tempo at which you speak. Analog could also be body language, your movement. You're not all this or all that. You usually vary it on a range. So it could be something that needs to be varied analogically or something that needs to be changed digitally. Does that make sense? We could break it down into smaller things. It could be that you just need to shift a word, or you could need to shift an entire sentence. Does that make sense? So you can look at chunk level, small chunk or really, really huge chunk. Do we understand? And finally, I have to say this. It could be simply the selection of subject. Who are you teaching yourself to aim this towards? Who is the subject? What is the quality, the pattern of energy that you want to interact with? Fantastic, close to fantastic, really near the very top of responsiveness and playfulness and openness to life, right there. But if I had picked someone who's closed-minded, who doesn't want to learn, who wants to stay where she's at and gotten her up, maybe by some measure of hypnotic suggestibility, they would have been equal. But her attitude and her approach to her life is what makes her a really fun person to play with. So it could simply be selection of subject. It's huge. Do we have it? So these are the categories that I want to teach you to consider when you're going into that learning trance state. And remember, there are things that can be added. There are things that can be subtracted. There are things that can be diminished or decreased. Now look here, look here. When I say diminished and decreased, there's certain subcategories. You can diminish the intensity. So maybe what you're doing is really good. You got the energy, you got the behavior, but you're so intense, you're frying people's circuits. I don't want to suggest that maybe there's some people in here who need to just turn down the wattage. So you could decrease the intensity. You could decrease the frequency. Maybe it's okay to do it, but you're doing too much of it. Maybe you're over-touching. You're doing it too much. You understand? Yes, Brother Snowball. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a hand for Brother Snowball? He asked great questions.
How is it that we can go ahead and identify, okay, we're doing too much, too little, things along those lines?
We're getting there, dude. I'm going
Okay.
to everything I'm doing is built to work and dovetail into the next step. I have to build this for you sequentially because each skill set builds on the next one. I've been working on this for 6 years. It's the first time I'm teaching it, so be patient.
That's cool. I've actually noticed, and I was talking to Brother Bob over there during lunch, how, at first...
Brother
it makes-
knob, Bob on my knob, yeah.
Bob on your knob. How basically it seemed as though everything was somewhat sporadic at first, but it's all kind of balling down into the...
Oh, it's not
that
sporadic,
fine-tune.
sir. I have a plan for this, believe me.
I
I'm
figured that.
fractionating you guys, too. If I taught this all linear, it wouldn't go in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are we going to get an opportunity to write the last couple pages down?
Yeah, I'm going to take you, I promise you. Just, if I have you write, then you're not looking at me and you're not getting the transmission, and I'm not being able to see just how much you're getting it. You have a question? All right. Same thing with things that need to be increased. Maybe you need to just increase your volume. Maybe you got everything down, but you're talking so quietly, women can't get it. Maybe you need to increase. Here's what a lot of you need to do. Look at me. You need to increase the amount of fucking sergeant you actually go out and do. In your case, you need to vastly decrease and diminish the amount of internal thinking about it and reviewing, and you need to dramatically increase the amount you actually get your tuchus off and tish.
Sir, yes, sir.
Comprendez-vous, verstande? Tuchus off and tish. In Yiddish, it means put your butt on the table, Get up off your chair, put your ass on the table, commit. Show me your cards. Next time you're playing poker, instead of saying I call, say tuchus off and tish. Aren't you a Jew too? No. Oh. Well, I'll make you an honorary Jew. Strauss, you're a Jew, aren't you? There you go. It's a conspiracy. You will send money to Israel. Send money to Israel. I've got international banking this month. Do you have entertainment or the military-industrial complex? I'm running international banking. Are you? You know how we run international banking, the entertainment industry? Never mind. Yeah. Yeah. I see you at the International Underground Zionist Conspiracy meetings, you know. You took my piece of Christian baby, the last piece that was nicely sauteed in butter. All right. Okay, so you got this? All right. I'm going to do just a few more minutes, then we're going to bring Neil up if he's kind enough to speak for a while, and then I'm going to show you how to really run through this, okay? There's one last piece I want to give you. I promise you we will go through these again and give you an opportunity to write all these categories down. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. There's just a couple of more things I want to give you. I gave you beliefs for operating in the field. I want to give you some beliefs about learning that are extremely powerful. Look up here. Don't write notes. Get this point. Please get this. Beliefs do the following things. Beliefs, look at me, can open or close levels of awareness. Beliefs can open or close levels of awareness. Because I believe that vibe is real, it gives me the ability to open my awareness and feel and see it and perceive it taking place. Beliefs open or close access to levels of awareness. The second thing beliefs do is they open or close access to levels of skill. If you believe you're stupid and can't do something, you're going to shut down all the circuitry that would enable you to do it. Beliefs open or close flows of energy. So your beliefs will actually open and close what flows of energy and what vibe you can send out. Finally, beliefs tend to be self-confirming, self-reinforcing. So if you believe in a certain way, you will filter out anything that doesn't match those beliefs, so your experience will appear to match your belief. I'm not talking about any of the secret, stupid bullshit. I've told you the various different tortures I believe those people should be subjected to, right? I have lots of them because they're assholes. But if you clean up all the crap, there's little kernels of truth in there. Well, even the biggest nugget of crap will have some kernels of corn. I hate the secret. Those people should be beaten. No, I don't even get there. All right? So I want to give you some beliefs for learning. These are very powerful. We're going to go through them. I promise you, I'm going to take you through all of this. Look up here. Before you write it down, this is my most powerful belief for learning to do anything. This is what's enabled me to push through levels of pain that most people would just lay down and quit. This is the difference between me being on stage and you sitting there, and I'm not kidding, and here it is. Don't write it. If I see anyone writing, I'm going to whack you. You'll have plenty of time to write it. I want you to get the transmission. Here's my belief. Anything seemingly or actually painful, anything seemingly or even actually painful that comes up is only coming up to be handled, healed, learned from, transmuted, transformed, refined as pure energy for my awareness, my intent, my peace of mind, my learning, my informed enthusiasm, my vision of who I'm already becoming each and every day. So I'll say it again. You can put it in your own words and we'll go through it again. But look here before you write. I want you to get the transmission again. Anything seemingly or even actually painful that comes up is only coming up to be handled, healed, learned from, released, transmuted, transformed, refined into pure energy for my peace of mind, my wisdom, my grounding, my knowledge, my informed enthusiasm, my vision of who I'm already becoming each and every day. Do you get that belief? Because I guarantee you, when you start moving off your ass and out onto the trail, all sorts of stuff is going to come up. All your buttons are going to start getting pushed. All your triggers will get tripped. And you better be able to handle it. And this is the way to handle it, to have this belief. So you think you could write that down in your own words? Write it down in your own words. Take a minute to write that down in your own words. Anything seemingly or even actually painful that comes up is only coming up. Come on in, my mighty pimps. Here is the crew of the pimps. Come on in, pimp crew. Pimp crew, come have a seat over here at the product table. They do not need, they're my crew of pimps. Treat them with honor. Have a seat over here at the product table. Martinique. Hello, love. Come up and give your uncle a hug. Shut that camera off. I love my job, man. Can I have a hand for me? I love my job.